And I want to talk to you about the case of Beverly L. Hall. She's a superstar superintendent in the Atlanta School District. And she is facing charges on racketeering and other charges because she was one of the folks that was part of the largest cheating scandal in the country. The grand jury also indicted 34 teachers and administrators in addition to Ms. Hall, who resigned in 2011. This is all happening in Atlanta. But the reason why I think this story is so imperative and so important that I want to talk about it is, what are we teaching our children? Now, thanks to No Child Left Behind and a lot of the, the rulings that have said, we have sort of built a system based off of standardized testing to sort of determine how well a school or how well a child is doing. Now, these testing are used for a lot of things in the state of Virginia. The third grade reading examination is used to determine prison growth population, because third grade is the time where you go from learning to read, to reading to learn. And because of that shift, if you're not reading to learn, you're more likely to end up in prison than you are to succeed. But the reason why this whole cheating scandal is so alarming is because teachers are basically cheating to keep their jobs. Or not teachers, administrators are cheating to keep their jobs. And this wouldn't happen if our system wasn't based off, if we weren't based on a testing system where a student's achievements based on how well they do on a standardized test, not on how well they learn, not on how well they manage concepts, not how well they participate in class, not on their how well they are socially, but all based upon if you bubble in the correct letter on a piece of paper. See the problem here, ladies and gentlemen? These administrators are going to be forced to cheat if we didn't create a system where cheating was the only way to get ahead, right? Because if you're in a poor school district and you have students that aren't good test takers, and we go on, the statistics show that African American students and brown students aren't good test takers because the tests are written to sort of, they're written against them. And a case in point, like, that's not true. All I will ask you is this. On a fourth grade reading exam, they asked the student what a subtrahend was. Tell me out there, do you know what a subtrahend is? Look it up. Or a divisor? No, you don't. Those are all, or divider, excuse me, is the word. Those are all these mathematical terms that they use in these books to describe different functions and different things. And if you don't know them and you're listening to this show, that means you're probably out of the testing era or the testing age, and you don't know. So how do you expect a third grade or fourth grade student to know it? So what? The students don't know it because the tests are high-risk tests, and it's a high-risk test determining if the school stays open, if the teachers keep their jobs, if the administrator gets more money from the federal government. And they really don't leave any child behind. What they do is a child takes a test, they take the test in the room, and they erase it and correct the answers. Or they cheat. See the problem here? We have created a society of cheating because we want higher standard for our students. Don't get me wrong. I agree with us having higher standard for our students. But those higher standards for our students cannot only be measured by a test that you take once a year. It has to be bigger than that. We have to fundamentally change how we do education in this country if we want to get it right. It can't just be about test scores and statistics and data. Schools were made for students. Schools weren't made for data. Let me repeat that. Schools were made to teach students, not to report data. While I do understand that data-informed teaching and data-informed instruction can create a better way for students to learn in a better student learning environment, and I think that is admirable, good, and should be used in the classroom, let's not use this data to tear the student down and to tear down the teacher and the administrator. Let's use this data to build up the student, make the teachers better, and make the administrators better. Unfortunately, we've seen the opposite from the No Child Left Behind laws. And we've seen the opposite in our education system. We've seen an education that's more focused on testing and getting high scores on a test than they are about teaching children. That has to change, America, but that can only change if we demand that change. So let's demand that change together. Let's demand it together.